received a BA in Comparative Literature from Yale. She ran Rap Entertainment for 5 years as principal executive and producer, working on Rush Hour. You guys remember Rush Hour?
They're too young.
I can't understand the words that are coming out your mouth.
Man, nobody can understand what's coming out your mouth.
See?
Thank you for that. It's so nice, classic.
She also worked on Family Man, Paid in Full from Dimension Miramax, and is an associate producer on Double Take from Disney. Later, she joined Paramount Pictures as the vice president of production worldwide. Now a writer-producer, she also consults for film and television. Molly Gregory featured Ms. Dixson in her book, Women Who Run the Show, St. Martin's Press, 2000. She was hard at work on her forthcoming debut novel, A Place Called Paradise. Alyss, I've worked with her for a while now. I love Alyss. We all love Alyss. I gotta say, one thing that I don't, my problem with Alyss, she's such a fucking closed book. When are we ever going to hear about her personal life? Am I right?
Right.
Is she a germaphobe? I don't know.
No.
Right? Alyss Dixson, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, Nate knows that I'm a little bit of an overshare. But I believe in conventions. Okay, so these are actually not pieces of fiction. These are from my,
Can't hear you.
so these are not from the book that I'm working on. These are from a poetry collection that I'm working on about my ex-husband and me. And it's called Fukuoka Woman. And a Fukuoka woman is basically like in Japan it would be like a hard-headed woman who resists obedience to the weak and all the other sort of stereotypes that are put on Japanese women. And the women in my mom's family come from Fukuoka, so it's meant as an insult. So that's what the collection's about. The poems I'm going to read are from a section that that deals with my ex-husband. And so the first one's called The Cathedral. My mouth is a cathedral of memories. I speak them and their edges catch, founder against my palate, jumble like ice. My husband's beautiful face, silvered with streetlight, his skin salted and damp, the arm that looped over and under me, shoulder to waist, the hand that cupped my hip bone, the sacrament, the mouth that carried my name in prayer, even after I left. The roof of my cathedral is ribbed like the boat that carried Noah, that floated Jonah down the gullet of a whale. It is a capsized boat, a boat in distress, a boat that has abandoned her load. This body remembers the truth, trembles when put to the lie. I bribe her with quick hands and tongue at a roadside, repeat love words in prayer. Every lover become father confessor, every affair a chance to atone. The ribbing of my mouth is a finely boned fish, gutted, gaping open, attenuated flesh rigid, waiting, the kind of flesh that foretells things in the way of Cassandra, of pressure and heat before hurricane. This one is a series, there's like 4 of them that are little short prose poems, or 5 of them, I'll just read them in a row. And if you've never done the drive from here to LA, then you won't recognize these places, but if you have, then it will be haunted. Okay, Highway 152. There was a white horse beside the road in Gilroy. It bent its neck and looked at me with one great rolling black eye as it cropped the grass at its feet. I think it was male. I wanted it to be male. He was domesticated, enough to stay in the corral, but pressed himself against the fence the entire 15 minutes I waited outside his paddock. I had an urge to slam my car straight into the fence across the road. I could just imagine how my neck might bend as it snapped forward, and the bumper might bend the boards of the gate inward, and the horse might leap free over the hood of the car and finally fly straight. I resisted. Harris Ranch. The air here smells of dung and piss. La Hacienda squats beside the road, the broad Spanish facade embedded with glass sliding doors sigh open as I step through, uncover my eyes, and search for the ladies' room. my mother and I stop here when we travel the length of the state from LA to SF and back again. I imagine what she might like from the bakery as I wash the sweat from my palms and comb my hair out. Cookies, yes, oatmeal raisin, perhaps a steak, but nothing too large as she lives alone since my siblings and I have vacated the South. For my ex-husband, I buy a bag of pistachios, a cookie for the dog. Tejon Pass. The climb up the pass, threading my way through semis laden with fruit, fuel trucks and cars loaded down with jet skis, ATVs, bicycles, mattresses, a chest of drawers, bouncing against a slender red bungee cord. I drop back 3 spots and change 2 lanes until I'm as far left as possible in the fast lane, speed up to 80, then 90, then back to 85, pull up alongside a semi declaiming the superiority of the California avocado, and feel the air pressure in the car change with a pop in my ears. The back right tire pulling me into the semi's lane. A memory from 10 years previous of a tire blowing on the 101 freeway just outside of Hollywood, me gripping the wheel rigidly, the car fishtailing across 2 lanes and onto the shoulders. As I pin my eyes to the road in front of me, I hear 3 more pops, move the car to the shoulder, listen to the crackle and pop of gravel, contemplate the possibilities, brake and swerve, release the gas and swerve, shut down the engine and swerve. The line of cars behind me fades away as I look to see which of my tires is shredding itself to death. Instead, the semi swerves towards me, horn blaring, driver's mouth shouting as his nose and eyes are concealed by the cooler of my passenger side door frame. Then the door bangs, bop, 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 and the air brakes beside me squeal as the semi slides behind me with a rapidity that is cartoonish, that I experience frame by frame. A long round strip of rubber rolls forward as I move away, thumps against the rear bumper, and falls behind the car behind me with a loud thump, and I watch the semi recede in my rear view mirror, now sans 2 rear tires, as it chuffs to a halt in the middle of the highway. I call my ex-husband crying, and he doesn't pick up the phone. Sherman Oaks. My hands have stopped shaking as I pull into the guest spot at my ex-husband's apartment. He meets me with our dog, Kenji, wriggling at the end of the long lane. I squeeze his furry body, but he leaps between the 2 of us too rapidly for me to catch a hug. His nose dipping to my feet, then my ex-husband's knee, then back to rest a paw against my thigh, then away to put that paw across my ex's shin, then wriggles his butt across the concrete, then springs into the air to catch me across the nose with teeth and tongue as I lean in to grasp at his collar. He ignores my commands and my ex's exhortations. He knows that neither of us has the heart to break up his happy reunion. And this is the last one in that series. Trigger words. We've each become trigger words for one another. The way my throat tightens at the sight of him, holding his body apart from mine as our sweat-slickened arms touch while we struggle to lift the headboard of our marriage bed. The way my hand drops to his thigh as we drive, then shoots back across the gap to my own. The way his vulnerability, iris is open and closed when we talk about the best way to handle my mother, his mother, the cousins who call and ask how we are doing, the way the pleas and anger and recriminations dissolve into prayers and apologies whenever we stray from euphemistic terms for our marriage, i.e. when we were going through it, to dates and details, the first counseling session, I should dress and speak more like a lady, the last acrid meal we shared at a ramen shop in Alhambra as a grimacing samurai watched over us, the visits we never made after we separated because we could never agree upon who should visit whom. Sorry, I'll stop with that one. And then I had one other one. Make notes to myself. It's nice that you guys are hearing this. Is that why she Okay, and then this one is not part of this series. It goes with some poems that are before this that are about my family. And my dad was a Marine Corps vet, and perhaps I received some lessons in life that were inappropriate for a child, like learning how to shoot a gun at 4. But they were deemed necessary for survival. And so one of the lessons that my dad taught me when I was young was how to skin a rabbit for stew. And I was very young, I think I was like 5 or 6. And so this is a pantun, which is a very old type of poem where you have a lot of repetition. So there's a little story, and then the lines get repeated, and you sort of just keep going back to the little story and expand it as it goes on. So this one's called Daddy's Bones too. I sit on your lap as you unzip a rabbit from its skin, your blade down the center line flaying. You pull down the fur like mom peels off pantyhose. I imagine myself divested like the rabbit, free. Your blade still moves down my center line, flays me. Years will pass. I will feel that blade, those cuts, gutting me. I will try to imagine myself divested, free. Try to peel my organs, those wet, slick marbles, strip their sacks. Years will pass, still that blade, those cuts, heart, lungs, I roll them until they pop and bleed, ulcerate. I peel them, these slick marbles, strip them of memory, the way you snap tendons from bone. Heart and lungs rolled until they ulcerate, bleed, pop, trap me in a buck-tooth mask, leopard, gird me, empty my bed. You snap like tendons, like bones, me casting and recasting the ivory links. My leopard mask girds me, empties me. Still, I peel, I strip, I gut myself to the bones. Cast, recast, cast, recast, grieve. My childhood, a skin I struggle to make new. Peel, strip, gut, tender, my heart to your arrivals and departures. Remake a childhood, remember. The cold always hugging your skin, layering ice between us. My heart, your arrivals, your departures, slicing like wind and steel, pain. That night, cold hugged your skin, layered ice between us. I am left disarticulated, gaping with need. Me, like wind, steel, pain, these memories slicing through my life. You pull down the fur like mom peels off pantyhose. Me, disarticulated from love, a stew, gaping with need as I sit on your lap as you unzip a rabbit from its skin.